Hello everyone, it's Serenity. So today's video may be a little bit longer than my other ones, but hopefully you will find it interesting. Okay, so in my last video I mentioned the number 7, and toward the end I also mentioned the 7 spirits that are basically aspects of Source. So what I want to do today is kind of elaborate more on that, but also address something else that, once again, the governing body had addressed in one of their discourses about, the voice of strangers. Okay? So, where I'm going to go is Revelation chapter 4 and verse 5. Okay? And this is speaking of those 7 spirits that I read in my last video. And from the throne proceed lightnings, thunderings, and voices. 7 lamps of fire were burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. Now what I'm going to do is go to Revelation chapter 5 and verse 6, where it says, And I looked, and behold, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 living creatures, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as though it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. Now, also, I'm going to read John chapter 1 and verse 14. And that says, And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. Okay, now I'm going to actually go to the book of Enoch, which is not in the Common Bible because many ancient manuscripts and basically writings were excluded because they did not fit what the council, the Roman, who was under this Roman emperor, basically it didn't fit what they wanted as far as the narrative in order for them to have power and control over the masses. Okay, so that is in the book of Enoch, and it's Enoch chapter 45 and verse 4. And that says, Then I will cause my elect one to dwell among them. I will transform heaven and make it an eternal blessing and light. So basically the point that I'm trying to convey here, no matter which scriptures or Bible book, is basically that God, the true source of life, has always had these ones that come to earth in the flesh. So also in Hebrews 13 and verse 2, it also mentions that, to basically be aware because many have unknowingly entertained angels. It's also the reason why Jesus said, do not judge, because he himself knew that these ones would be on the earth in the flesh and would not really be distinguishable from one person to the other except for their knowledge and their teachings. So the thing with these ones is they do come from a place that is not bound by earthly rules, regulations, doctrines. So they do behave differently in a manner that may be ones who are conditioned to think and accept that current social norms are basically correct, would actually look down on the ones that have truly come from basically other dimensions, source, God, whatever you want to refer to these basically high-ranking light beings that come from source, okay? So that's why I'm reading these scriptures. It's real. This isn't, fantasy or fairy tales. It's nothing new age. Actually, current religion is new age. What I teach has been in effect since the very beginning of creation. Okay, so I am saying this because the governing body basically has been saying, apostates and these ones who have these teachings that are, demonic, stay away from the voice of strangers. They are warning so adamantly their sheep not to pay attention because they realize that the true shepherd is here. And the sheep, if they hear that voice, if they recognize that light, they will leave and go to the good shepherd, not the false one. Okay. So what I'm going to do is go to John chapter 10. And I will start reading in verse 4. It says, "And when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them. And the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers." Now, just keep this in mind. They do not know the voice of strangers, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is continue on in verse 10. It says, "The thief does not come except to steal and to kill and to destroy. I have come," Jesus speaking here, "that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly." Now, governing body, you are the thief. You are the thief. You are not the good shepherd. But I'll go on so I can expose you even more, okay? In verse 11, "I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. But a hireling who is not the shepherd, one who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. And the wolf catches the sheep and scatters them." Remember that video that I gave about the ultimate sacrifice that the governing body is preparing and what they're going to do when, as I said, the shit hits the fan? This is what Jesus was alluding to right here. That those who do not own the sheep see the wolf coming and leave the sheep and flee. That's the governing body. That's your so-called shepherds, your leaders. Now in verse 14, "I am the good shepherd, and I know my sheep, and am known by my own. As the Father knows me, even so I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring. And they will hear my voice, and there will be one flock and one shepherd." Now, these may seem confusing at first, but they're not. Basically, what Jesus was saying here, and I use the name Jesus because that's what most people who watch my videos know him as. Obviously, he has other names, but I use Jesus because that is the common name that most people can basically understand who exactly I'm talking about. But basically, when he comes, those ones who recognize him will recognize his voice or the energy that he exudes. It will be an inner knowing that they know, okay, yes, this is that connection. I can't explain it, but I know this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what Jesus was talking about. So if the governing body members can basically keep blinders on those sheep, they will not be able to actually find the good shepherd and recognize his voice. That is their goal. So the thing about these 7 spirits, the word, whatever you want to call them, basically a physical manifestation of source, is that they can come and go at will, basically. Now, this is why Jesus also had mentioned in 17 and 18 about this. But another thing I want to address before I go there is that Jesus said, "And other sheep I have which are not of this fold." What he's talking about here are the ones that come from him, from other realms, other dimensions, that do not actually reside on this planet or earth. But even those that are here, that are not of the earthly sheep, basically, once they hear his voice from other galaxies, if you will, they will also recognize his voice and come for one common goal. So that is what verse 16 is about. Now, in 17, and I'm still in John 10, okay? Verse 17, "Therefore my Father loves me, because I lay down my life, that I may take it again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. This command I have received from my Father." Okay, so hopefully I explained all of this pretty well. So basically, Jesus, the word source, because it is not one singular energy. That I cannot express enough. It is not a singular energy because there are various aspects of source. Okay? So that's what I wanted to bring out. But for these governing body members, and there's others who are literally misleading the flocks, once the sheep actually connect to their true shepherd, there is nothing that you can do to stop them from recognizing that true frequency and vibration of love that they cannot overlook. And that connection is strong. And you know that. And that is why you are trying everything you can to keep those ones still under your control from hearing the voice of the true and the good shepherd. Okay. That's it for today, everyone. I love you so much, so much. A lot of this may seem overwhelming, and you might want to shut it down because it's something so different. But remember also, the same scriptures that I just read, there were people in John 10, verse 19, which, okay, it says, "Therefore there was a division again among the Jews because of these sayings. And many of them said, 'He has a demon and is mad. Why do you listen to him?' Others said, 'These are not the words of one who has a demon. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind, or the ones who are spiritually blind?'" So even when you recognize the shepherd's voice and the things being said, there are always going to be those ones who are going to try and cause division in order to break that connection of you actually hearing, feeling, and seeing the good shepherd. Okay? All right. I'm really going this time. All right. Take care, everyone. I'm sending you my peace, as always, and my unconditional love. Bye-bye.